One of the other things that we're going to be doing is pepperonata, which Jane will have ready in just 2 minutes, and which we're going to do with sea bass. So you guys get some amazing sea bass off the Welsh coast. And Brixton, where I live, we have a lot of amazing fish, but one of the fish particularly that comes onto our market is Welsh sea bass. A lot of the fishermen catching all this off the Pembrokeshire coast, and very, very sought after. And wonderful fish, very kind of light, slightly oily texture, which I think is wonderful. And it's a predator, which is where it gets its flavour from, because it's eating mackerel and sprat and all these other fish. My passion for fish, I think it's just, I grew up by the seaside, so I was fishing as a boy, and my grandmother was a great cook, so we didn't eat gourmet food, we just ate food regularly, and fish was part of that. And I travelled a lot in my teens, sort of Europe, and I'd see these amazing fish shops all over Spain and Italy. I never saw anything like it in the UK and couldn't understand what it was all about, couldn't understand why we didn't do it. So I thought I would just give it a go and open something that was magnificent, and that's what I did. And from that, I think there was a sort of genuine love in what I was doing. I really wanted to cook. I've never cooked before. I was trained to something completely different. Taught myself to cook from great food writers like Jane Grigson, Elizabeth David, and I just got on with it.
Right, so I'm just looking at his recipe, and I don't want this to go on. And normally you'd cook the onions for a lot longer. Am I right?
Yeah, you stew them right down. It's really important.
But we have got a time issue. So I'm going to put the peppers in now. Yeah.
Lovely.
Tomato.
The cumin's gone in there.
Cumin's gone in there.
Tomato puree out. Very important, the onions. The most important part of this dish is cooking the onions down. You get that lovely sweetness from red onion, which is really, really wonderful. And also you can add a little bit of water at the beginning as well, just to help everything sort of stew down, which is great. A bit of saffron.
That's gone in.
Saffron's gone in. Cumin's gone in. Lovely. A little bit of parsley. And we've got white wine vinegar and to go over the end there. Great. And so a lid can go on that. And that literally just stews down very, very gently. While we're waiting for the bass. I live near the fish market, like next door to it. So I walk into the fish market 3 times a week in Brixton, where I live, selecting fish for the restaurant with the buyers down there, and have breakfast with the fishermen, of some fish for breakfast, a nice mug of tea. And it's in my kind of DNA, I think, to just be around it and enjoy the sea and seafood too.
You're lucky being near Brixton, but what about the rest of the country? I mean, I'm always surprised when I travel to West Wales, for example, how hard it is actually to find fishmongers in markets.
Yeah, I mean, we get great fish in the town and have great access to it, but I'm aware that buying fish in the UK is more and more difficult. Supermarkets are the main channel you can buy it from, but there are a lot of people now selling fish from the coast to your door, and if you find the right person to work with, you can get some great fish sent to you. I think the big thing with seafood is expensive. It's wild caught, harvested food. So the next thing we're going to have is some skate. Now, when you see skate these days in restaurants on the menu, more often than not, it's not skate. It is definitely one of those species that have been rarefied by overfishing and that sort of thing. So what we tend to eat is a mixture of rays, blonde rays, owls, stars. Plenty of them out there, but they always get described as skate on the menu for some reason. I think it's probably because we're more familiar with them. But anyway, for those wanting to eat fish for the first time, I think skate is a wonderful fish because you don't have any bones in it, and I think that's most people's problem with eating fish. You just have that lovely sort of gelatinous cartilage through the middle. And there's an old wives' tale with skate that people say, shouldn't it smell a little bit kind of ammonic? And it shouldn't. Skate should taste very, very pure. If you ever put a piece of skate in your mouth and it tastes slightly of ammonia, it's because the fish is old.
Yeah.
And the reason being is that skate, being a member of the shark family, excretes urine and other chemicals through its flesh. So after a couple of days, this kind of sort of sits around and actually creates that sort of ammonia flavour. So if you're looking to buy skate, look for a kind of lovely pink colour to it. This is a blonde ray actually, because I can tell by this membrane on it, which, lovely, lovely thick fish.
While Mitch is doing that, I'm just going to cook very simply some chard with it. I think that's all it needs. We've got this lovely chard. I think it's quite underused in this country, and also a lot of people throw away the stalks, which is silly because we don't need to do that. All I'm going to do is because the stalk and the leaf take different bits. If we put it all in together, we'd have to wait a while for the stalks to cook, and then the leaves would be completely knackered. So separate them and then thinly slice the stalks. We'll put them into the water first, and then followed by flashing, when they're nearly ready, flashing the leaf in the water, and then I'm going to take it out, refresh it, and just braise it with some garlic and some olive oil. That's all it needs. It really is. Sometimes a bit of anchovy, a bit of chilli.
Yeah, it's quite earthy taste,
yeah,
isn't it?
I love a chard. I think this is
I like it in
lovely chard.
gratins, you know, with a few mussels. You can take a few mussels out of the shell, make a bechamel, and add all the juice back into your white sauce. Put all your chopped up blanched charred ribs in there with your mussels and white sauce, a little bit of cheese, and bake it under the oven. And mussels and chard have a great affinity. I think they're one of those things like fennel and fish.
Yeah.
Chard and fish, and especially shellfish, is very, very good.
Well, fish is expensive, but you know what? It's about shifting our values. And so the reason fish is expensive here is because most of the foreign buyers want to buy our fish. And from Dorset right to Cornwall, from Brixham, Plymouth, Newlyn, West Bay, these are the best fishing ports in the UK, and this is some of the best fish in the world. And all this fish is going to Spain and Italy because we just don't have the values for it. But I'll go to stay with friends in Italy, and they drive old cars. The houses, pretty average, just enough to have what you want. But the food on the table is magnificent. Paying 30, 40 euros for a piece of fish is accepted. Whereas over here, we have mortgages, we have nice houses, we have a nice car, and what little is left goes on to food. And I think that's this kind of general way it is. But over there is a celebration of it. So I don't think it's a limited market. I think it's about people just shifting their sort of perspectives on it. Priorities, absolutely.
But skate and particularly monkfish are two very good fish that work well with it. So I had about a glass of sherry in there. You can smell it. Sherry, onions, just lovely, isn't it? 3 simple ingredients, lovely, perfect. Now the advantage, look at that hasn't even taken 20 minutes. Now the advantage of cooking when you cook whole fish, you notice I put some slashes in it. And normally I would put some rosemary or some herb or some garlic in there as well. But one of the things that, I don't know whether, can you see that on the screen there? Yeah. If you'll notice in the slashes, there's a lot of liquid. And that's all the protein that's coming out of the bone. And with fish, you don't want it, it doesn't go overcooked very quickly. So it's not something that 1 minute's good, 1 minute's bad. But all you're trying to do is to just get heat to the center of the fish. And that's what that is, the protein in the bone, and that's perfectly cooked.
But there are some amazing fish around Wales, and I think the biggest problem with it is the fishermen haven't got anywhere to put it. So they land it, there is no market, there is nowhere to kind of handle the logistics of it, and so that's why you have a dying industry here.
Because it doesn't seem to be the equivalent of a big Brixham fish market.
No, there never has been in Wales. And fishermen are very difficult people. They don't work together as cooperatives. They're very individual people, which is obviously why they're very lonely people, which is why they go to sea and love being out there. So they don't come home and sort of meet somebody in the pub and say, let's work together, because they just work for themselves, and that's what they do. So in Australia, fishermen have set up cooperatives where they work together and they land the fish and they sell the fish. And people come to the cooperative to buy the fish, but even in Devon, fishermen don't think like that. They do need to think like it, but they don't. And that's always been one of the biggest problems. And many of my very dear friends are trawler owners and fishermen, and they don't think in that way. They're not entrepreneurs, they're fishermen. It's different,
Well, hopefully it'll change in the future, do you think?
Yeah, I think it'll be forced to change. And people with more awareness in this country, people want great seafood, they'll want to buy it from the coast.
But I think serving it as a whole fish somehow makes more of a celebration of lunch or dinner. And we always, in the restaurant, we fillet these. Most people in our restaurant tend to like the fish filleted, even though you serve it on the bone, and just fillet it at the table. So while I've got it here, I thought I'd just... the easiest way to get everything off the bone is just go down the middle, the sort of lateral line of the fish. And then you can just open it up. Difficult hanging over the edge, but that's the way to navigate it. Just coming off the sides, and then you can lift the bone out the middle. But what a fantastic piece of fish! Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Dressed with nothing more than a little olive oil and some lemon juice, and then of course your pepper and artichokes.